Good morning. God bless you. Well, we serve a risen Savior. Father, I just pray that the message gets through in a clear way, what I'm about to say. On January 20th, 2025, at 6:30 a.m., I woke up to no, our grandson's car has been stolen. Our grandson's car has been stolen. Now, this is Reverend Thomas William Gardner, and I wanted to share this with you because God answers prayer, and He can walk with you and talk with you, and He can be with you. And I know that a lot of people have a little trouble with that, and it kind of depends where you're at, what you're doing. But He's there. And she looked at me, and I said, and she kept saying that his car was stolen, and she was really loud and she was really upset, and I just trying to wake up, and I said, what can I do about it? And she said, you can pray. And she went into the walk-in closet and she started praying. And I said to the Lord, I said, gee, she didn't even say good morning to me. And then I went over and I started to wash my face up and everything, and the Lord said, the car is still there. You can go over and get it. And I said, Lord, who would take a car when it's 2 degrees below zero and it's pitch black outside? I said, who would do such a thing? And then it was like, well, it was a crime of opportunity. My grandson was warming the car up, went in for a few minutes or so, and when he came back out, the car was gone. It was a crime of opportunity, but still, it was pitch black outside, 2 degrees below zero. And as I'm getting cleaned up, and he says, you got to get over there right now. And I'm moving pretty fast, and I said, Lord, that car is probably on its way to Pennsylvania right now. Somebody's probably driving at 70, 80 miles an hour down the turnpike right now. And he said, it's there. And so I head on over, and it's about 3 or 4 after 7, and I'd gotten up at about 10 till, and I'm figuring the car's gone. And I'm looking down through the side roads around there, and I drive by my daughter's house, and as I keep driving, I start to look, and I see a car like his, and I go, that's it. And I go, no, that's just like his. It's not his. And then I see another car, and I see another car. And then I say to the Lord, I said, Lord, I keep this up. I'm going to put my hands on the wrong car, and some old guy with his pajamas on is going to come out here and punch me out. And I said, I'm not doing so good here. I said, Lord, would you release an angel to help me find this car? And so I keep driving, and I said, I don't know where to go. Please tell me where to go. And we go about 4 streets over, and there's little side roads and everything. And off to the side, I see a side road, and the car is not parked in the driveway, and it's not parked right in front. It's kind of like, about 3 feet from the sidewalk. And I thought, well, that car looks out of place. Let's drive by that car and see if that's the car of the Lord and I. Let's see if that's it, And so I drive over there, and I look at the car, and then I look at the license plate, and that's it for sure. And I call my daughter, and she says, Dad, and I said, yeah, and I could hear my grandson talking to the police in the background, and he's talking pretty loud to him, and she says, we're trying to get a hold of the police right now, trying to file a report. I said, I've got the car. And she says, and she goes on, and I said, I've got the car. And she goes on some more, and I said, honey, I'm right here with the car right now. And she said, you're what? And I said, I'm right here with the car. And I said, she said, where? And I said, here's the address. So they come over, and they pull up, and my grandson gets out of the car. He said, that's my car. That is my car. And he jumps in the car, and the house keys are gone. but the keys are in the ignition. And I said, we got to get out of here right now. I said, we're probably being watched right now. I said, that car was staged. And so, you know, about how they stage something, so they find it, and then they know a guy who knows a guy, and then they get paid, and then the guy takes it to somebody that he knows a guy, and he makes money off of it. I mean, they're stealing cars all over the place now. But from the time that I found out about the car was stolen, we had the car back in 20 minutes. And after I asked the Lord to release an angel, it took about a minute and a half. I looked for that car, the Lord and I and the angel, for about a total of 6 minutes from the house to where we found it. And I know that a lot of people say, wow, you know, wow. Well, isn't that something? Isn't that a coincidence? It's not a coincidence. See, that's just it. It's not a coincidence. Things like this happen to me. And this is why I wanted to share it. I had another whole message to talk about. But we're talking about miracles and relationships with God. Now, you can classify this as a miracle or a minor miracle, or you can say, wow, you know, that's really crazy. But you see, a miracle is a supernatural event that happens that science can't explain. Now, you could say, well, it's coincidence. Well, let me share another story with you. And we could say coincidence, I say relationship. It's a relationship. Let me share something with you. It says, I was about 25 years younger, and I lost my billfold. And I'd been making pretty good money at the time. And there's a lot of money in that billfold. Oh, for me it was anyway. And couldn't find it. And I looked through the van of ours. I went in the house and looked all over, looked in every jacket pocket. And, you know, you've been there. That's happened to you. And I couldn't find it. So I went back out to the van. I tore the van apart twice. And I went back in the house and I said, Lord, would you release an angel to help me find this billfold? I'm really getting stressed out over it. And he said, go back to the van. And I said, Lord, I've been there twice. I tore that thing apart. And I opened up the back door to the van, and right there on the carpet, and anybody could see it, was the billfold. Now, you can believe that the billfold was put there, or you can believe that I looked twice through the whole van and in the back, and I didn't see it. But it was just out in the open where anybody could see it. But I didn't see it. And then I went the third time back to the van and listened to the Lord after I asked him to release an angel. Notice I keep emphasizing that. Okay, so that was great. Now, here about 2 years ago, before we had a fire, we had a serious fire here. We all got out okay. That's another story for another time. But I had lost my billfold again. Well, it's not too bad, twice in, 25 years. But actually, you lose stuff and nothing really miraculous happens and you find it. But these things are hard to explain on a normal basis. So, but 3 years ago, I went all through the bedroom and I knew I left my billfold up in the bedroom. And of course it wasn't there, and I went through all the clothes. And we have a large bedroom, but it's not that large. And we have a place where there's a desk, and there's a sink, and there's a towel cabinet, and there's a carpet in between. Well, I looked everywhere, and I came downstairs, I looked everywhere, and I was getting kind of upset about the whole thing, and I prayed to the Lord. I said, Lord, I don't know what else to do. I hate to bother you about this, but could you send an angel down here to help me and help me find my billfold? And he said, go back upstairs. And I went back upstairs, and on the carpet, out in the open, between the desk and between the towel cabinet and in front of the sink, where anybody in the world could see it, was the billfold open. Now, it was so unbelievable that I started praying. I got tears in my eyes. And I went over to the Y and I mentioned it to Pastor Bob, and Pastor Bob said, you know, things like that happened to me too. Now, I wanted to clear something up, because we're talking about angels, we're talking about miracles. What biblical verses do we have to stand on? Matthew 26, 51 through 53. Don't you realize that I could ask my Father for thousands of angels to protect us, and he would send them instantly? Now break that down, because we always, our fix is upon Jesus. Our fix is upon what Jesus said. How did he say it? Don't you realize that I could ask my Father for thousands of angels to protect us? Ask my Father. The angels in heaven are under God. They do what God says. And Jesus was in his earthly body, and he says, don't you realize? But he didn't say that I could call him down. He said that I could ask my Father. What did I do in all three instances when I lost something or when something was lost? I asked the Lord to release the angel. It wasn't like, oh gosh, I can't think of the right words to say, or I called down an angel and I knew him by name, or I know that there's so many angels that watch over me, and what I'll do is I'll just call down a group of them. I have no power to do that. You have no power to do that. Now, you can believe what you want, but what I'm trying to tell you here is these three things happened to me, and this is what I did. This is my story, and this is what I want to explain, and this is how I live. Now, in Psalms 91, 11 and 12, for he will order his angels. Whose angels? Whose angels? He will order his angels to protect you wherever you go. They will hold you up with their hands, angels' hands. They will hold you up with angels' hands. That's important. That's important. Angels' hands is a story that I'd like to share later, but that's coming soon and not in this segment right here. But they will hold you up with their hands so that you won't even hurt your foot on a stone. Now in Hebrews 1:14, are they not all ministering angels sent? Now notice it says ministering angels. All angels are ministering angels. Some are soldiers, some are singers, some are messengers. It goes on. But yet they all minister and they all do the Lord's work. It's just that they have certain tasks that they have to perform. Are not all ministering angels sent forth to minister for those who will inherit their salvation? Are you saved? Are you saved? Your salvation? Let's go to Matthew. If you believe in the Lord, even back in the Old Testament, you had angels on your side if you knew how to ask for them or to talk to your Father. And what relationship do you have with your Father? What is your relationship with your Father? Can you go to your Father? Do you know how to say it? Was when you're with your Father, you are on holy ground. If you're in your prayer closet, you are on holy ground. It says Moses was on holy ground, and the Lord said, take off your shoes, Moses. You're on holy ground. If you're on a level with the Lord, then you need to treat the Lord as he is holy. He's not a friend from down the road. He's your heavenly Father. Matthew, see, I emphasize this because the world we live in today, it's really hard to figure out who knows what's really going on and who doesn't, and who's forgotten what they learned when they were in church 50 years ago or 40 years ago or 30 years ago? And what version did they hear in the first place? Why I'm sharing these stories is because, hey, this is happening now. I may not be around that much longer. I got to share this because it's important. It's important to know that you can go to somebody, that you can talk to somebody, and he will walk with you and he will talk with you along life's narrow way if only you know how to talk to him in a holy way. And if you have honor. I hear people talk today, and they talk about the Lord, and they talk about the church, and then the next 2 or 3 sentences they've got, they're swearing, or they're talking about women, or they're talking about some man. And I think, have you lost your mind? Do you know how to talk to the Lord? Do you know how to talk about the Lord? Do you really have a relationship, or are you playing games? Do you want to see miracles, or are you playing games? See, it kind of comes down to that. Where are you at? What's your relationship? It's none of my business, but you know what? It is my business to share. Matthew 18:10. Take heed that you despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you that in heaven. Now, despise one of these little ones. Despise not one of these little ones. Do you know in the United States of America there's somewhere between 60 and 150,000 women and babies and children taken? Do you know what the number one child or woman that they want and what they're looking for? They're looking for children under 6 years old. And they have a grocery list to get these women and children and babies. Did you know that? The Lord tells us up front is that Jesus says, take heed, be careful, really be careful, that you despise not one of these little ones. For I say unto you that in heaven their angels. Whose angels? Whose angels? A lot of people say, well, there's no guardian angels. Well, this is written in the King James, okay? This is written in the King James. They didn't use guardian, but it says their angels. Jesus said their angels. Do you want to dispute it with Jesus of whether there's guardian angels or not? Their angels always behold the face of my Father, which is in heaven. The face of my Father, which is in heaven. So how are they released? They're not released by you. They're not released by me. And I don't know what my guardian angels' names are. I wish I did, but I don't pretend to. But I know that the Lord knows which angels to send. And if I talk to the Lord and the Lord talks back to me and he tells me about it, then I'm going to share what he told me because it's important. I hear so many people today and they say, well, the Lord never talks to me. Well, the Lord doesn't love me like he loves somebody else. Well, the Lord's angry at me. Well, you know what? Are you standing on holy ground? Have you sanctified yourself? Have you set yourself apart? Have you asked to be forgiven? And for all the people that you've wronged? Have you made yourself right with God? Are there things in your life that you're not proud of? Did you ask God for forgiveness on those things? Are you right with God? Have you cleaned up your vessel so that you can hold more of the Jesus in you? You see, if your vessel leaks, then you have to patch up your vessel. You have to patch up the situation. You have to make it right. God can work a change in you. God can work a difference in you. God can make you a new creature. Your vessel can be clean and ready to hold more Jesus. Because it's not about you and it's not about me. But this is a relationship. This is not a coincidence. This is a relationship. And I started laughing in the garage when I left, which it sounds pretty crazy. And I said, Lord, if we find that car, I said, everybody's going to be so excited. And everybody's going to think this is so great. And you're going to get the glory. You're going to get the glory. Because when my daughter talked to me later about it and I was able to talk to her, see, I had to go settle down a little bit because that was pretty exciting. And we had to get out of there because I didn't know if we were going to get shot. Because, you see, it was my grandson's car. Somebody had violated one of the members in our family. And though that had all happened, that was money for the perpetrator. That was money for the bad guy or the bad girl. That was money for them. And we were in their realm, and we had to get out of there. And we did. And the whole thing, of course, worked me up, you know. And I was talking to the Lord, and I thought, Lord, why don't we just go down and get a cup of coffee? And I'll get a cup of coffee, and I'll just talk to you some more about this. And when I settle down, I'll be able to talk to other people about it. But right now, I just went through something. What do you go through with the Lord? Is it real? Now you could say, wow, the Lord told you to do that. Well, I kind of think he did because I found the car in 6 minutes. The car was gone. The car was lost. Somebody had taken it. It was 2 degrees below zero. It was pitch black outside. But I found the car in 6 minutes. But the thing is, when I talked to people about it, I said, I really don't feel like I found the car. I feel like the angel found the car. Well, those are my thoughts. I wanted to share that with you. There is a way to talk to the Lord, but are you willing to listen? See, that's another thing too. I prayed about one thing not long ago. I didn't get an answer for 5 weeks. But when I got the answer, I was assured that it was right. Well, those are my thoughts. Have a blessed day.